One of the big things that is so important when you're first starting out, you've got your first clients, the next thing that you're looking at as a business owner is profitability, right? Because nobody wants to do this long term where it's not profitable. It's a hobby at that point. So how soon, do you remember how soon it was before you became profitable?
See, I was led to believe that you cannot be profitable for the first year.
I hear that all the time too.
I was led to believe that. But
It's
the reality
BS.
of it's BS.
It's total BS.
Because first thing is we have to first analyze the way I run my business could be totally different from somebody who is running the same business.
Oh, 100%. Well, dude, personalities are different. Your mindset, your approach, your experience, your network, too many variables to mention.
Leverage, everything is different. So it's very important. The sooner a small business owner is going to do a deep dive into their profitability, the better.
Okay.
In the sense that you need to understand what a 15 minutes is worth for you in your business. Because if you look at the final profitability, like you see the gross income, then all the expenses, and at the end you see the net income, right? The net income, how much are you making for how long that you spent on the business? You need to understand your dollar value for every minute, they say, right? But I will say, not to sound too cocky, maybe 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes, how much is it worth?
Okay.
Because even if you show up to any work, if you're a small business person, like you and me, freelancers, right? Nobody pays for our 401k. Nobody pays for our health insurance. And nobody pays for anything, right? You have no benefits and all that.
And you're wearing so many hats. In the beginning, you are marketing, you are production, you are the CEO, the COO,
the janitor,
everything,
everything. You are everything without any benefits. So it's even more important for the small business owner to realize what their profitability is, how much is their time. Like some people call me and then they talk for like 30, 40, 50 minutes getting free advice, and they have zero intention to do any business with me, right? It happens. So in the beginning when I started the business, I was spending a lot of time with people not knowing what my time is worth. And then before you know it, you quickly lose sense of time. And then you lose sense of your priority. So the first thing is, the sooner you have your practices, like standard practices, how you do it, once you have it documented, and then once you get an estimate as to how long it takes for you to get paid for each client and how much each of your gig is, then you understand the value of time. So the sooner you get to it, that's the first step.
That's so important.
So important. It's so important. And don't believe that you have to wait for a year to be profitable. You can be profitable right away if you understand the value of money.
No, 100%. And like as a photographer, you go out there and let's say in the beginning I was doing portraits and there were $75 for portraits in the beginning. By the time I was done, I was horrible at Photoshop. I was horrible at editing. I didn't have really good processes down. So all the time I spent, by the time I was done, I was getting like 5 cents per hour is what I was making. And it was not very good. But I quickly said, okay, well, I want to change that. I don't want to make 5 cents an hour. And then so what do I got to do? Well, I got to get better at my processes. So I'm spending less time doing those things. My dollar per average goes up. And then I can raise my income. I'm getting more comfortable behind the camera. My portfolio is getting better. And all those things help me increase my dollar average. And then you get to the point where you're like, cool, I'm making minimum wage. Okay, I'm making more than minimum wage. Cool, now I can put some money away in savings. Now I'm actually living pretty comfortable. You know, all these little milestones that you hit.
Because see, right now what the minimum wage is, maybe 15, something like that right now.
14, 15?
Right.
Yeah.
So if you wear a blazer, they'll probably pay you 20 bucks.
A little extra, right?
20 bucks.
Just walk in and get 20 bucks right
an
there.
hour.
Me, I'm getting 12.
No. It's like, so the point I'm trying to make is, as small business owner, you have to understand that if you show up at some places, you probably get paid 20 bucks an hour or more. So you working by yourself on your business without any benefits, it better be times 3, times 4, whatever your multiplier is. Otherwise, what's the point of really working so hard?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and what are some of those things that you can do? Okay, let's say that we're looking at a business owner, maybe even thinking about ourselves. Those first few months where we're starting to get clients, we got some leads coming in, and maybe they're 3-4 months into it. What are some processes to get to profitability in the business? The first things that they can do. What is something maybe you did?
The first thing that I did not do, that I regret that I didn't do it early, is creating a clear statement of processes. so that it's predictable for the customers.
It took me a long time to get there.
Yeah. The reason we take a long time is we feel that we are still learning it, and then we think that okay, we are going to do it later. The negative with that is not only we cannot measure the profitability. First of all, the customers cannot have a predictable experience working with us, right? So with that unpredictability, it causes so much of confusion in how we treat our customers and how we take them through different workflows every time. So without all that being predictable, you cannot have a way to measure how you can be profitable, and you cannot see where you can be more productive and save some time, save some money, save some resources.
Well, one of the things that I learned later than I probably should have was if there are things you're doing repeatedly for somebody, for clients, turn that into a process, see if you can create some kind of visual aid or infographic or something like that, email template, whatever it is that's applicable to that situation, that you don't have to keep rewriting that email. You don't have to keep explaining that thing to the clients. Maybe you sit down in a video like this and you explain like a certain part of the process, right? You take that off your plate, and maybe you just do that with one small element of your business, but over time you look back and you're like, I got a whole manual here for my business.
Yes. I mean, that's going to provide so much of value to the employees who are working with you. Otherwise, if everything is in your head,
right,
and your employees will be so confused working with you, and talking about profitability, you are probably paying them or them having to second guess you. If you have a good documented process, this is how we are going to do it, this is how the workflow is going to be,
right,
it's going to help you also identify pockets of processes wherein you can either automate or you can leverage. And that is where you need to have lot of advantage in trying to cut your costs. There's a particular thing that you repeatedly do,
right,
you can probably automate it. Like for example, remember a time wherein we were taking appointments, right?
Okay.
Taking appointments from buyers and sellers.
right,
Basically, we are trying to figure out the most convenient time.
okay,
Then we switch to Calendly. Calendly is wherein we have it in our signature file, wherein if you want to set up an appointment with us, you can click on it and
Right.
set up an appointment. And it's easy, so it syncs with our regular calendar. So if I have my appointments, it already tells the customer that they can't use that time. Something
Right,
as simple
yeah,
as that.
yeah.
So all that you'll only know once you start to know how much time you're spending taking appointments.
That's true.
Otherwise, it's going to keep on seeping and you'll not be profitable.
That, I really like that tip of being like finding leverage somehow, right? And I know for me as a creative, one of the ways that I found leverage is I brought in editors to help me out with photo shoots where, okay, I could edit this photo shoot, but I'm doing a lot of them. It's kind of low-hanging fruit. How can I speed this process up?
Yeah.
And for me, that was with my real estate photography. So what I started doing was outsourcing a lot of especially when I first started, okay, let me do the editing. Editing's taking maybe an hour per property. I was already out there, did the photo shoot, driving back and forth. And I'm like, man, can I pay an editor and then take that hour back and put it someplace else, right? That was one form of small leverage that I got in my business that really helped me get profitable in my business, because then I could put my time someplace else.
Leverage is a big part of being profitable. So whenever I thought of leverage,
Right.
I thought that maybe I need to hire employees.
The first thing that comes to mind, right? Just gave an example
Yes.
of that in a way. But okay, what is another way that you can leverage yourself?
Yeah, another way is to use freelancers, right? There is a lot of people who are willing to do it remotely, and also people who don't want to work full time,
Right.
and then they are willing to help contribute.
Well, especially if you're a brand new business and you're just starting out, you probably don't have the budget, because we're talking about trying to get profitable, right? You're not there yet. Maybe you don't have a lot of money in the bank to kind of make this happen, but you got a lot of passion, right? So that's your runway, is the passion you have. So your suggestion, and I agree with it, is to say, okay, well, maybe we don't look at a full-time employee 40 hours a week, but can I offset 10 hours with a freelancer, right? And maybe I'm spending a little bit more hourly than I would otherwise, but they're available now. They already know the thing that I need them to do, and they're probably already doing it for somebody else who's in the same field that you are. So there's not a lot of education you have to do with a well-trained freelancer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Coming to the real estate example, there was a time we used to get like 10 buyer leads every day. 10 buyer leads, if you have 10 buyer leads, if you have 10
That's
buyer
pretty good,
leads,
man.
takes, and each buyer is not a number, right?
Right.
Each buyer is a family looking to buy their dream home.
That's right.
And as a service provider, you have to provide the same level of service as if they are the only customer you have for the entire month. That's the
So
level of
true.
service
So
they are
true.
expecting.
Right.
So then if you treat them like numbers, there is no way that you can treat them all with the same attention.
Right, right.
So we went with the showing agent model.
Okay.
So for real estate agents, we had some agents in our office
Right.
who were willing to work part time
Okay.
when they have some free time.
Right, because they were newer, they didn't have a full business, right? They weren't part of another team, maybe,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
So what we did was we have gathered the requirements from the buyers, wherein we did the initial orientation with the clients.
Okay.
And as soon as we have the requirements, then we told the clients that we are able to pick our homes and show, but it will not be me coming and showing the homes.
Yeah.
It will be one of our showing agents. And when you set the expectation with the customer, explain to them what it is, then they totally understand and they're fine, because their end goal is to find the right house.
Right.
Right? They really don't care who is coming and opening the door, but they really want to make sure that we are available when they have a question. There is a negotiation question, or if there is a problem or something. But the easy task, they didn't care who shows the home.
Right.
That's where you have to identify these low-hanging fruit, wherein customers will not see the impact, right? Customers will be happy that there is a convenient way. Now they can see home 7 days a week, time of the day,
Right.
without them waiting for my calendar to open up.
Dude, that's a really good approach to it in saying, let me look at, we talked about low-hanging fruit for clients, right? Finding clients that were low-hanging fruit. And those would be, an example would be mom, dad, brother, and sister, close friends of yours. That's low-hanging fruit as far as your sphere of influence to get clients. But then looking inwardly in your business and saying, what is a low-hanging fruit that I can outsource to somebody?
Outsource, yeah.
Right? And you did that with the showing agent. You said, okay, here's a task that is time consuming, and if I can leverage it out to somebody else who's anxious and excited to do it, the client gets the equal amount of service. And we explained, I think that's an important part though, you guided the client through the process, so there was no negative surprise for them.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing about it, because they're coming to you because of you and your name and your brand. But when you can walk them through that step and showing agent what they can expect from that, and that you still are available via email, phone, whatever it might be, for additional questions, allows you to do that successfully, right?
And not only that, the customers are going to appreciate the experience they are getting,
Right.
and you're going to appreciate the profitability of it, because you're leveraging your time, your resources, and you are able to streamline your process, and you're able to document it clearly, because the showing agents are also now part of your team, and then it reflects so professionally. So that's why, going back to the first suggestion, you need to document your processes and map it out. You can figure out which aspects you can leverage so that you can be more profitable.
Dude, I love that. So that's a really big tip, is finding that low-hanging fruit in your processes, finding leverage, and that is one quick path to profitability.
Yes.
I definitely found that in my own business. Like I said, I gave an example with the editing. You did it with a showing agent in a different industry, but the mechanics might be a little different, but the theory is the same. Low-hanging fruit, leverage it out.
Yes. So I have another question. In the first year that I did not do a good job is with bookkeeping and accounting.
Okay.
So bookkeeping and accounting is an extremely important process, is what I realized later on, like really later.
Yeah.
What is your experience? How do you keep updating your numbers and
It was the same thing with, especially in the creative field. I feel like most creatives started it knowing I wanted to be a full-time. Most photographers that I know, most creatives, do it because they love the thing, and it just slowly turns into a business, and they look around, they're like, wow, this is like a business. I should probably get serious about this. I haven't thought about bank accounts, LLC, structure, like any of that stuff, right? So one of the things that I did early on, coming from the real estate world where you do have a lot of these practices and these systems, was I looked for software that allowed me to do my invoicing and everything, but it kept track of all those records so that I could provide a P&L at the end of the year and do my taxes really simply. So I looked for software to take care of that for me, because I knew I didn't want to sit down and balance a balance sheet, right? I didn't want to do that. So I looked to leverage myself, low-hanging fruit. How do you leverage yourself? I got software to do it for me. $50-$60 a month. You can find something pretty decent for a creative that's not going to break the bank, and it'll do it all for you.
Yeah, that's great. I wanted to tell you how I did it. We went with QuickBooks first.
Okay.
QuickBooks was a great program. It automatically tracked everything, and with technology it evolved. It evolved so much. Now it tracks miles, and then now it automatically imports your bank accounts, right? Then you can categorize everything. So you need to find the technology and resources that's going to make your life easy.
Yeah.
That is going to bring you profit, make you profitable, even though you are spending some money, because it's going to save up so much of time. Otherwise, end of the year, your accountant is going to ask you for all these receipts and all that, and you're going crazy. It happened to me the first 3-4 years.
Yeah.
I was really going bananas trying to figure out where the bills are, where the invoices are.
Right.
But then once you identify all these issues, then you organize your stuff, then it gets easy year on year, and then it's like a continuous learning process.
Well, dude, you made a good point, because I think software, from when you and I both started our businesses to now, and there's so many more options for business owners and creatives. Like even PayPal, as simple as it is, it's ubiquitous, everybody's familiar with it, you can use it, but they have almost everything built in. You know, you can just take those reports and they provide them automatically and just send that to your tax account.
Yeah.
Right? QuickBooks is awesome. If you don't want to spend any money and you're like in a super tight budget, maybe look at a free program with something like Mint, right? Because you can tie your bank account to it, you can track your expenses, and you kind of got to set it up. It's a little heavy on the setup side, but it's free, so you got to spend a little bit more time, but it's a shortcut solution.
That's great. And to wrap up this question, how to become profitable,
Right.
We have to again lean back on the fact that the foundation thing is you have to not only look for saving money, to look for saving time. You have to look for processes that are going to save you time and money.
Right.
Because this equation is so simple.
Right.
It's so simple that you are going to ignore it. Trying to focus on getting leads.
Because you're juggling everything.
You're juggling everything,
Right.
and you're excited about doing the business rather than working on the business.
Right. I totally agree. With that, guys, catch you next time. Did
Right?
you have this the whole time?
No.
Oh,
Start promoting these.
I know, right?
This is the secret of muscles. Yeah.